Hi everyone, Master Teacher Holly Holland here with another in our series of Bone Strong for Osteoporosis exercises. Today I'm going to use one of my favorite props. It's a squishy ball, or an overball as we call it in Pilates. I like this version from Spree. I have no affiliation with them, but it's a nice ball. It's about $20, S-P-R-I, Spree Fitness. What you want is something that has a little bit of give. It's going to challenge your balance, it's going to make it resistive. And here's one of the reasons that I love using props for anything, right? Because it adds a little novelty and freshness to an exercise. It makes it feel somewhat playful. And as we learn through all of our osteoporosis exercise series, you add resistance in multiple ways, okay? So you're gonna find as you challenge your balance and as you're pressing your wrist, your spine, your head, your leg, all the way into this, that you're gonna get some added resistance. Okay, so let's talk about the first thing here, your head. As you'll see in a lot of my Bone Strong for Osteoporosis courses that I do, which you can follow up with after this, we talk a lot about the cervical spine. Now, many people, when they get osteoporosis, they get a roundedness here, a forward head position and a round back. As your spine starts sort of to crunch on each other, it's very dangerous. But another factor to think about is that your head weighs 8 to 10 pounds. And for every inch forward that it is from your neck, it's a factor of 10, which means that you could be having 20, 30, even 40 pounds of weight that you're holding up with these neck muscles. Generally, the neck flexors are very loose because they're letting your head come here, and your neck extensors are very tight. So we're going to try to work with that. So I'm going to take my ball. I've got two mats out here, and I'm going to come onto my back and place this right at my skull ridge. Now, I don't want to be on my neck. I'm going to come right at the occipital ridge, it's called, this bony prominence that you'll see here. First of all, it feels amazing, and why shouldn't exercise feel amazing, right? And as I press into my head there, I'm really giving some lovely resistance to the cervical spine, which can be a common fracture point. I'm also starting to strengthen these neck flexors and release some of the tension of the neck extensors. And let it go. Press in there. I'm trying to bring my head, which I have kind of a flat neck, not too far forward, but all of us who use computers and drive have a tendency to kind of lean into the work, which I call sort of letting your turtle head lead, okay? All right, and then I'm just going to do a couple of little side movements because that feels amazing again. As I add that resistance to the back of the skull, it's doing some wonderful things to my cervical spine. It's also releasing some of the tension that I think we carry up in that area around the neck and shoulders. Now I'm going to just kind of stretch through the arms and start to warm up my breath as I inhale and exhale around. So we know on that exhale, we want to really engage those deep, low abs. I call it shrink wrapping as you start to kind of hug into the center. You never want to feel that you're pushing your back down. Many people associate that with abdominal strength, but it's not. You're just basically, you're pushing into your back, and that doesn't feel good, and it isn't good for osteoporosis. Okay, let's move it down the line. Another thing that we need very much with osteoporosis is extension as we try to reverse the curve of the spine. So I'm placing that right up between my shoulder blades. I'm going to make sure that my head is supported with my hands, and I can drape back over that as far as it's comfortable for me. It feels amazing. We get really tight in these pecs right here, and this feels so good as you have the surface of the ball to draw over. So yummy. I could just stay here most of the afternoon. Let's just do a little bit of work. So we're going to take an inhale. And as we exhale, I'm just going to feel that the ball is sort of hugging in my skin as I side bend towards the right. Now you think, well, can we twist with osteoporosis? Absolutely. As you see from one of my previous videos of how to do yoga twisting, we want to be very deliberate about our twisting. You can see that I'm really just doing this from my thoracic and cervical spine. I'm not moving the lumbar spine.
pulling my abs in to make sure I don't take any strain in the low back. But absolutely, we need to be able to rotate through our normal activities. And so practicing this in a very deliberate way will keep us from torquing and potentially fracturing. All right, now let's add a little bit of stamina. You may recognize some of the features of this from my bridge pose series. I'm going to make sure that my head is supported, that my feet are parallel. I'm going to hinge bridge up one long piece after I've activated my abs. Take an inhale. And as I exhale, pull my abs in, press into my feet, lift my hips up there. Oh my goodness, that feels so good. I'm keeping that head long. In fact, I can really traction my neck here, get a lot of energy and support, and I definitely feel the resistance into my feet, into my hip bones. In my studio, we call this little area right here the butt thigh, where the butt meets the thigh, and it's an area that all of us need to activate a little bit more. Again, I could stay here, I could drop down an inch or two and pick it back up. Very gentle, meaningful movements, never thrusting. But you want to feel that connection between your glutes and your abs. They can be your new best friends. Oh, I love this so much. Bridging is one of the favorite poses for osteoporosis. Okay, let's move it down the line. So let's take it now under the sacrum. Now you don't want to be in your low back. You're really on that bony triangle down in here. And we're just going to use this to start to show you how a ball of this nature, a prop like this, can really challenge your balance and your core stabilization. So I'm going to always think about my stable side before I mobilize a side. So as I extend my right leg up and push through the heel, which gives me this fantastic hamstring stretch, I'm checking my level pelvis and I'm anchoring through the opposite foot. I'm going to take an inhale. And as I exhale, I'm going to draw my abs in and lower that leg just as far as I can control it, right? It's not about getting to the floor. It's about finding my sweet spot where I can find challenge, but not too much that I feel any strain in my low back. Inhale as I bring it up. Exhale. Now you may not be able to see this, but I am really energizing that stable leg, and I am so challenged because of this ball to get better and better through my form. I'll take it about 2 more times. Inhale, exhale, hugging my abs in every time, keeping my neck long and my shoulders anchored. Wow, and you talk about work for the butt thigh, it's there. Okay, now as I move here, you can see that my pelvis is level, I hope. I'm going to keep this stable right leg engaged as I bring the left one up. Arms are down for support, inhale. And as I exhale, I'm going to lower that down and lengthen it. So there's both things happening here. Elongation, engagement, and everything for the support of the bones. Inhale up, exhale, press down, feel the work here. So many things in Pilates, and I tell my new students this all the time. It looks easy until you try it. It's definitely challenging if you do it well. Let's try it 3 more. Inhale, exhale. Find each time that you got all those fundamentals, the core, the stabilization, the resistance, the balance, it's all here. It's fantastic, and I feel that so much. All right, just moving it down the line, right? Keeping our focus on the whole spine. I'm going to take now the left foot on here. Wow, this may be the most challenging of all. I want to feel that I'm really in that core stabilization here as I come into a classical Pilates exercise called leg circles. Now, you're moving the femur bone in the hip socket. It's a good stir. It's not about moving your pelvis. It's core, even though it's sort of misnamed in a way. I'm going to flex my foot because when you do that, you're going to charge up those glutes even more. Inhale. As I exhale, I'm going to hug my abs in, circle that under my control. So I'm getting wonderful mobility through the hip socket, but wow, am I feeling that stability on the left side, and the resistance that I get from my hip bones is fantastic here, right? So challenging. If this is too much for you, as you're just learning this, of course you don't have to use this ball. You could just practice these exercises and getting the belly and the breath. Okay, I'm going to now go in the opposite direction. So as I come away from the midline of the body, it gets even harder to stabilize. Notice that I'm not doing this randomly, using momentum. I'm stopping at the top. Exhale. Feeling the control and the abdominal engagement before I let that leg come down. I'll try one more. I often lose count, so I hope that's 8. Woo, feeling that. Take a little stretch there. Okay, other leg. Bring it into the right leg. Now, some of my friends have been asking on the chat boxes and stuff, you know, what do you do about your legs when you feel it in the back here? Well, there's a muscle back here called the gastrocnemius. It's a much more superficial muscle than your hamstring. And many of us hyperextend. We kind of push through that. So I'd like you to really feel that you're engaging your quadricep and engaging your hamstring without locking into the joint line. Try it here. Inhale. As we exhale, we come down the center line. I'm going to pick up the pace. Still asking for that stability, the check-in of the deep low abs. Wow, the leg that's on that ball is working so hard. So there's both directions that you're getting that resistance. And this is what I love about our osteoporosis series, is there's so many ways and efficient ways that you can build stronger bones. Let's reverse. Down, around, and up. Exhale. I'm going to use a little bit more arm power here because that will feel good. I need that strength as well. And I'm really feeling that spinal connection too. For 3. Exhale. 2. Last one. Oh, wow. So good. So good. So hard. All right. So I'm going to roll over to one side. Now, let's check into the hips a little bit. You can lie your body down here along one line and then hip hinge forward from the hips. Remember, your pelvis is high to the waist, your hips are low. I'm going to take that ball right here. Now, as I bring the hip into extension, which is fabulous, again, because so many of us are rounded and forward, and we want to avoid that because of the potential for fracture. But as you squeeze in here, whoo, you get those powerful glutes to work for you, and you strengthen your hip bones. Just make sure you're drawing your abs in, because you definitely don't want to arch your back. All I'm doing here is using this prop for a little extra resistance. We know the bones like surprise. They like novelty. So try these different things as a way to improve the health of your bones. Okay. Now, we're going back to that stirring idea. I'm still squeezing that ball. I'm stabilizing my pelvis. And now I'm getting this amazing rotational stretch, opening up those deep hip rotators, squeezing, and getting all those fluids to flow through the body so they can benefit and keep us healthy. Wow, so hard. All right, I'm going to slide that down to now my bottom leg. I'm going to make that little banana pose because it's a little easier on us. All right, and I'm going to now bring this leg up to the height of the hip. This is called side-lying legs from the Pilates mat work. You don't have to use this ball. Trust me when I tell you this is hard. So if you just want to just do it without that, keep the leg up to the height of the hips. So you're working those adductors, those inner thighs like mad. And you're going to kick forward as you flex your foot, inhale, and then exhale, come back. Now, I want to make sure I'm hinging here at the hips. I can absolutely go further than this, but it would be at the expense of my pelvic stability. Don't want that, right? I'm trying to improve my hip strength, and I'm not going to get there by having a loose pelvis. So that can also be compressive. We want to avoid that. Wow, do that 2 more times. I may be dying before that. And then I'll press up. Take a nice little side stretch, and I can press into my wrist here. Get some resistance there and stretch over. It feels great. Little side movement. All right, we're done with one side. Let's get to the other. All right, so we know the setup. We're lying along the back edge, hinging forward. And we're going to take that ball behind the knee. Check into your abs. Squeeze it back. We're just trying to really bring some understanding to the way that we should be more stable in our lives. You know, we spend a lot of time in chairs. There's even research going on about how the body is starting to become like a chair. So this is a nice way to reverse some of that process while you're getting some beautiful resistance for your hip. All right, let's do a little bit of dip and down. Can you see that the thigh bone is sort of like a spoon in a mixing bowl, right? Trying to really feel that fluid motion without loosening my pelvis. It just feels so good. All right, and then I'm going to take that down to, lost my prop. Come on back. All right, so I've got it right there. I'm going to make sure I've got that good form, set myself up for sideline legs. The leg stays at the height of the hip. I've got a crease here as I inhale and then exhale. The leg that's on that ball is working like crazy. I hope I'm showing you good form, but it is hard. Are you hugging those abs in? Keeping your neck long. Try not to look down at that ball, right? Because then you would strain your neck. Just kind of see it in your peripheral vision. I'm going to call that 2 more. Inhale, exhale back. Inhale and exhale back. All right, coming up. So I hope you see in just a really short time that you could just use something that's kind of fun, that makes exercise not feel so boring and humdrum, and new ways to stress your bone. Please let me know if you like these videos and subscribe to the channel, and take a look at that free yoga guide that I have referenced in the end of this video. Thanks so much. I'll see you next time.